Thank you everyone for attending this Fabric user group in Denmark with Odetta today, talking about unlock the power of Power BI with the design. And I will not even try to pronounce your last name, Odetta. You can do that by yourself because I will not succeed in that one. As I just said, this session will be recorded and made available on the LinkedIn group, as you find here. You cannot, as an attendee, download this video because we have always a loophole for the speaker to say this was not the best session in the world. Please don't upload it. So we will have that loophole for every speaker to say please don't upload it to YouTube. So you can't download it. You can only find it on this LinkedIn group or on the YouTube channel with the same name. For everyone who has started joined this meeting through the Meetup, you will get an evaluation email. Please reply to that email because we would really love to get better and learn from you guys. So if you need any help or feedback or something, please reach out to me or reply to the feedback email. We would love that. So without further ado, I will hand it over to you, Odetta, and unlock the power of Power BI with the design. And I will stop sharing my screen and hand things over to you, Odetta. You're up.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
Sure.
I will try to share to my screen. We'll see if it helps.
Before we get started, are you okay with questions during the session, or would you rather do them afterwards?
It could be either way. So okay. If you have any questions, just let me know. I don't know if you have chat or raise hand, whatever.
The chat is open, and that is the primary access for questions. So if any of the attendees have a question, please write them in the chat. And if we need further elaboration on it, I will unmute you and you can talk with Odetta directly. So
great. Yeah, so if you have any questions at some point, just write a question, and Brian, if you can monitor a little bit a chat,
I will. Sure.
Just let me know because I'm not sure if I will be able to see it or not.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I will see. I have probably too many monitors and see which one is working. But yeah, now, okay. I will move you a little bit there. Yeah, just some technical things, so bear with me. And I probably sharing. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it works. Thank you.
Great. Okay, I'm trying to. Yes. So as Brian mentioned, today I would like to talk to you about the design. But first, I would like to tell a little bit about myself. So my name is Odetta Jankaitene. I am a solution architect or data analytics consultant at Mako. We have just different titles there for some of the projects, but here you can see my contact thingies if you want to. Originally, I'm from Lithuania and I'm working here too. So here you can see a small picture of the capital city, how it looks like. So if you ever been here, probably you know how it looks like or not, I'm not sure. But if you want to come and visit Lithuania, just give me a shout out. I will tell you what kind of things to see there. Yeah, also I write dragonsdata.com blog posts and occasionally post some videos and YouTube, but it's not that usual thing for me. But mainly what I do, like how I share my knowledge, is by going to the user groups or conferences. This is where I met Brian there. So in some of their conferences, so a lot of them actually. But yeah, so if afterwards you will have some questions and you want to contact me, so the best place for that is LinkedIn. I will write you back if you have any questions related to this session or some other session or just Power BI in general, because I'm working with it already, I don't know, 8 years or 9, I don't remember exactly, but like almost from its creation. So I have quite a good stack of knowledge around it. So yeah, and plus I love to share that knowledge with others. So moving to today, I want to present you design and why you should care about it. So, for example, a lot of people I think about design is just like nice to have, and the main thing for them is just to upload the data into reports. But I think design helps quite a lot with reports, especially with using them, because there are so many cases that people just create reports, like developers create reports, but other users don't use it. So design sometimes can help with that. So I will tell some of the design principles that I think can be useful here. So I found some articles related to designing, not like reports, but in general, and I applied that to Power BI. So this is why I will talk about colors, visual appeal, backgrounds, how to improve some messages, effective visualization, compelling narratives, touch a little bit about UX, and some design pitfalls. Of course, we can talk about a lot of things quite a long time, but I will try to make it compact for you. So just before starting, I need to say a disclaimer that even before starting thinking about design, how things should look like, what colors to use, and so on, I suggest, or I should say insist, you to think about a few things. So first one is, what is the goal of your report and what business wants to get from it? So what kind of answer should I answer with my data, with my report, with my pages, and yeah, a lot of this. And only then to think about design. So this is, I think, is about every report, that first you need to think about your audience, what they want to get from it, and only then think about how to import data, how to visualize it, and how to make things look, I don't know, appealing or professional or something like that. So I think that there are some things why design is important in the report world or realm, whatever you call it, because there is a visual appeal aspect of it. As you know, people like visually appealing things. So if you remember like some old like SQL servers and other things that they have very bad like visual interface, now if you would see that thing, probably you would say, oh, such an ugly thing. Why I'm looking at it? Like, what's happening there? So we need to move with times and make the report a little bit maybe more appealing. Not, as I said, not only put every data you have in one page, but apply some principles to it that I will touch upon a little bit later. Then, of course, there is an enhanced comprehension, because if you put everything quite clearly, people would understand your report more quicker. So this is also a good thing to have. Yeah, I just checked the questions. So if you want that people just open your report and would at least 5 seconds say something about it, like for example, oh, my sales are going great, or something like that, just right away to get some insights, then your job is done. But if a person spends quite a lot of time looking into everything and trying to figure out what's here happening, usually it's not the problem of the data, but it's the problem of the presentation of the data. So designing and visuals, maybe they are too complicated or something like that. Yeah, so also you need to communicate efficiently. So usually on one page, it could be like one clear message, and how you reach to the message, how you display it, it depends on you. But yeah, I will show some things that maybe can help you with that. Also, as I said, good-looking or not cluttered, nice reports. They give you an impression of professionalism and credibility. So that also helps with clients and usability. Of course, there is differentiation and engagement. So if you made quite good looking report in the sea of very bad ones, people will remember it and people will use it more, because then it will be more clear for them to use, more clear to uh, maybe even they will ask you to create more because they say, oh, you created that wonderful report for the finance department. So maybe you can create one for me too. Because as I said, again, even if it sounds stupid, but people like looking at nice things. And the last thing is user experience. So it could be while talking about apps, it could be about reports, wherever you're creating. Good user experience, good UX, so to say, is really helping you with the usage. Because if it will be complicated to find things, if it will be complicated to see things. So, for example, you have a report where you have so many colors, like all the colors you can think of. So people don't know exactly, okay, so where should I look at? Because all of those things will distract them. So, yeah, all of that goes into design things. So some design principles, how they look like, and which ones I chose to apply for the report creation. First one is hierarchy that can be achieved in scale or in color. So what I want to say here, in scale meaning that some things are bigger, others are smaller. So usually if a person looks at the report, they will look at either at the biggest one or at the most eye-catching. So for example, if you look at the color, here you have the same size hierarchy, but you have very small line that is the most lighter one, and it's catching your attention because it's in the darker background, and not the biggest rectangle catches your attention first. So this is how you can highlight some things that you want that people will look at it. And depending on the color, you can use intensity or hue. So in the hue example, as you can see here, I have a green rectangle. So again, it looks, if you just look at one rectangle that is with green in it, then you will see right away that the green color catches your eye best. So this is there, probably you should add the first thing you want people to see. So it could be some KPIs, it could be maybe very important report, and so on. I will show you some small examples afterwards. Another design principle could be contrast. So it could be, again, contrast in color. So maybe you're not using hierarchy and so on, but you are, for example, adding dark background and everything else should be lighter because then it will be more visible. Or you just want people to focus on one detail. So you add it to the lighter or more vibrant color, depending on your other visuals on backgrounds and so on. Also, there could be contrast in size. So smaller things, larger things, again, very similar. And also with fonts. So usually the main message or the main thing you want for the users to catch is by using, for example, capital letters. And this is could be an example of a title for the page. So you want people to know exactly what this page is about. So give the clear message, and this is how you can make the user's eye go into the title to make it big, maybe a good color, and so on. So you can, of course, combine those principles in one place. And if you want talking about fonts, if you want to add notes, usually you can write them in italic because it's like good to know, but not the main message you want to people to see. Another thing is alignment, sorry. And this one, at least for me, catches the eye the most right away when I open. If something is not aligned correctly, then it could be too noisy for me. For example, I can see very well small differences. Yeah, so this is why it bugs me quite a lot, but for others, maybe not. But still, people, if they open the report and they see something not aligned, maybe they don't right away know what's happening, but they know that something is wrong, something is not really correct. Maybe my eyes working wrong or something like that. Like, you never know. But if something raises questions, then it's not a great idea for the report, because then it just removes you from the main message, right? Removes user from the main message. So how does it look like? So for example, good alignment, everything is aligned, and it could be, of course, centered aligned or on the left or on the right, depending on the cultures or your preferences and so on. Or it could be badly. Of course, this is very bad example. It could be subtle changes in the alignment. For example, I will try to find a pointer. Yeah, maybe, for example, only this small rectangle on the left could be moved a little bit, few millimeters on the right. And then it would be you will see, is it mistake? Do I need to pay attention to this? What's happening? Or something is wrong. When you are creating reports, you don't want these questions in your reports. Yeah, because then people will look more on these small details and not into data and the message you want to convey. And also very important thing is, sorry, I want to remove this one, but yeah, I cannot do it, but sorry. Yeah, so the other very important thing is white space. So again, it's the same things as in the previous example, but it's not only aligned, but also you are not overcrowding the page. For example, in my previous job, I had some guy that wanted so many visuals on one place, and they must be on the same page. I don't know why, but he insisted on that, and he was a client. So of course I tried to say, okay, but will they understand what's there? Because they won't be able to see one exact thing. They will see this is very small, this is very small, this is very small. You don't want that a person would look at the report from this distance. It's really not great. But this is where it comes white space. It means that nothing is there. So you add maybe some intentional spaces. Maybe you just don't overcrowd, because you can add sometimes quite a lot visuals in one page, but is it worth it? Does it bring value? You should think about it. So another example would be bad white space usage, that it's too overcrowded, maybe too big, very small, narrow spaces between visuals and so on. Again, it doesn't bring cohesiveness, it doesn't bring calmness. You will think, oh, where to look at? It's I don't know, very long written post that you think, oh, so much text. I just hate reading it. So you will just scroll through it and that's it. The same goes with reports. If it's too much text, too many visuals, then people will be, oh, I don't know where to look at. So sorry, I'm not using it. And this is the example of the report. So for example, here you can see that I highlighted one of the visuals. And at least this is what I see the first thing. Maybe you will see something else. You can let me know in the chat, for example, when I open the slides, where your attention went right away. So I would be interested to see that, your question, your answers. But for example, for me, I looked at this where I have highlighted a visual. Why I did that? Because I created a report, and I used that for my one of the sessions where I wanted to show how to work with external users' data. So, for example, if I am at a client and I don't have a lot of privileges there, but they gave me a data set that I can use it and add it to my data. So everything what is not highlighted is from my data as a consultant, or for example, as a finance girl or something like that. And this comes from my client. So this is why I highlighted that this can be done. And this data comes from the client. So this is why I put my attention there. Yeah. Could you share? Oh, sorry. It's again about LinkedIn. I thought that someone answered where their attention went. Yeah. So then talking about space or talking about hierarchy, contrast, and so on, you can, again, if I have dark background for the contrast, I'm using lighter colors. Since for me, for example, some KPIs that are up here are important, but they are not the main story that I want to convey, then I'm adding them here at the top, because usually people look from the top to the bottom, but they are not the biggest ones, because the main attention that I would like that users would pay is here with these graphs to see how, for example, top competitors works. I can, for example, highlight some these columns and so on. So again, it depends what you would like for your user to see. If you think that some of these KPIs are very important and this is the main thing, maybe add some color to it that people right away look at it, and don't use like this background for one of the visuals. Again, it depends on what you want to see. Now, talking about colors and visual appeal, there are quite a lot of things to know there. But first, about color theory. It depends, again, if you work with clients that have a quite strict color scheme that they want their reports to be with, but maybe they don't have it, or it doesn't matter for them to use it, or something like that, then you need to know how to combine colors. Like, for example, when I showed you, I will go back a little bit, maybe not a little. We'll see where I use the color when I talk about one of the here. So for example, why here I chose this green color? Because I looked at the wheel, and for example, the most opposite colors are the most contrasting, and this is why you can use them and they will catch their eye right away. So for example, green is quite contrasting with purple. Of course, you can use a lot of things. So this is why I add some links to it. Also, I have much more links for you to go into if you want to go deeper into this topic. But I put the QR code so you can go and press them, because right now you cannot do that. So yeah. So going back to the color theory, so as I said, if I have like here purple, I can go in front of it, so it could be yellow, it could be a little bit like closer and so on. So there are like those primary, secondary, tertiary, and so on colors. There is like a huge color theory going on in YouTube right now and so on. But yeah, as I said, you can just press like color wheel calculator or something like that and just figure out it yourself, and you don't need to like remember exactly, okay, if I'm using like blue and I want to highlight like one point, so for me the best case would be to use orange. Like if I want to be that very like hard contrast. If I want to be it more subtle, then I can use, for example, some of the closest colors that are also complementary to my one color or something like that. Yeah, so again, depends what you want to see, what is your taste, do you like bright colors, do you like subtle colors, and so on. Also here, for example, I like this colors.mus.ly because you can add some color palette and it will generate you an example of a report, how it will look like. So I like this example because you can see right away what is the feel, how it looks like. Maybe this color palette is not the best because usually people say that you shouldn't use red color unless it means something bad, because usually at the Western countries it means like that, but in a few slides I will show you that in different countries it means different things. So yeah, you need to be mindful about that too. So as I said, you can adjust that to a company's color scheme if your company has it. And for example, maybe they want to use it in every report, then you just get the codes and you use it in Power BI. But maybe you want to, and if, for example, they don't have like hex codes or something like that, you can use color pickers. It could be like from PowerToys or some add-ons, depending what you like to use. Because sometimes, like for example, a company tells you, yeah, my main color is green, but then not everything can be green. And usually, as I said, as red means good, green usually means great things. So if I want to use something like the color, some color to use to indicate something else, so maybe I would like to use some complementary color to the green color. So again, then I can go to the things. Maybe I can go to the logo of the company. This is where I can use the color picker. And then I have this code, like what is the color they are using, because maybe I need that very quickly and the client cannot give me. So they answer right away. So yeah. And these are the places where you can go for the color palettes. So also Adobe, yeah, here you can extract colors from an image. Even this is possible. And of course, with a lot of AI things that are just emerging. So maybe there are even new things there. Yeah, I will need to see there then and maybe update it. And this is where like I put the other example where I said previously when I showed you this report, and now I have only one graph here that I want to highlight top competitors. So this is why I put it in the lightest color. Of course, maybe it's not the best example and so on, but still, this is how you can use color. And like how I get this light one is by going again with color picker, putting the hex code in the like search engine or something like that, and I can, or some pages that I like, and they will generate all the shades of this like purple. So I can use like the lightest shade of purple, and then I know that everything will look cohesive and not clashing and so on. So yeah, color theory is really a thing. And yeah, talking about color accessibility and the meaning. So this wheel, maybe it's not the very best one, but I couldn't find better one. So here you can see like with letters, for example, Western American, Japanese, Hindu, and so on. And with numbers, you can see what emotion it brings to the person. So for example, if we go with A, and yeah, so this is A and red color with 1, so it's angry. So this is what it means for the Western American. B for the Japanese, again, anger is red. But if you look at the C, where again, we had the same anger, but now it's black probably, and it's for Hindu. So this is how you can think, as I said, usually red is used as bad thing, but not in all countries, not in all cultures. So you need to be mindful about that. Also, there are color impaired people that cannot see colors, or like, of course, there are a variety of this, but still you need to be mindful about that, because statistics says that some kind of percentage in your company uh, are those people. So there are some contrast checkers. Why I'm talking about contrast? Because if the color is quite contrasting, then it will be even differentiated if you remove the hue. So, for example, if you put it like grayish, I don't know, filter or something like that, then you see if it's lighter or darker. But some colors, if you put that filter on, will see very similar. So then this person that is visually impaired won't see, for example, that this is the contrast between like lines, like this is the most important line to see. So of course, sometimes then you need to use not only colors, but for example, like dash lines or something like that. But still, yeah, need to be mindful about some small nuances.
Mudita,
Now,
there's
oh,
sorry,
sorry.
sorry, I'm just interrupting here.
Yeah.
There is a question from, sorry for pronouncing this, Kwang. Sorry, but the person asked if the links in the presentation will be posted on LinkedIn as well. If you can, when we're done, can you just send me the links from the slides?
Yeah, okay. At the end, the last slide will be the QR code, as I mentioned, and you can just download the PDF with all the links.
Oh, there you go.
But if you want, for example, the presentation, then I can just upload a whole PDF and send to you.
Okay, great.
Whatever is more convenient.
Okay, I'll just go with the QR code, and then people can scan that one. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Great. No worries. Yeah, so another thing to think about is backgrounds and layouts. So you need to choose a background that complements the report content and maintains readability. Why I wrote this? So for example, you can see that my report example was in the dark background. This presentation is in the dark brown background. And for example, if you look at my computer, all my programs are in the black or like very dark background. And this is because I like that way and it doesn't stress my eyes that much. But there is a statistic, maybe not like, I don't know, like very, very wide statistical, like maybe not everyone were asked that question, but still there is a statistic that people prefer white background for the reports, white or light gray, something like that, but not like dark background. I don't know why. For me, like dark one maybe is better, but still, usually with a dark background, you have quite a lot of nuances with colors. You cannot use everything because maybe some colors won't be seen, and so on. So yeah, usually I would say the good practice would be to use light background. Then consistency. For the backgrounds and layouts and colors, everything goes to the cohesive visuals. So, for example, if one of the colors in one page means like revenue, so everywhere where I use that color, it should used about revenue. So it shouldn't be like in one page is revenue, in another page, like for example, green. In one page is revenue, in another it's like I don't know, number of people or something like that. So it should be consistent. The same with the backgrounds or layouts. So meaning how you display your visuals. So for example, every time all my KPIs on every page will be at the top ribbon. All my filters would be, for example, on the left or on the right, or somewhere, but it's always the same place on all pages. Yeah, and there was and Adriana wrote that it is easier to read text on light background than on dark, according to all the UX research. Yeah, so this is the backup what I told, and especially for the people with vision impairment. Yeah, so exactly. Thanks for this addition. Yeah, then another thing, again, white space. You don't need to overcrowd things. You don't need to put everything that you know on one page. So you should distribute it, let it, leave it to breathe a little bit, and so on. And of course, placement. So as I wrote here, you need to think about such things as titles, legends, but also don't forget about annotations, because those can guide your viewers' attention. Because I think it's very good thing to make some or to use some text, because I think quite a lot of us who create reports forgets about it, that they can add text to describe some things, especially for the people, for example, that are not very technical savvy. They are not analysts, so they don't know exactly where to look at, or for example, what this bar chart tells them. And yeah, so this is also very important for the understanding how to use the report and for the report itself. And here I have an example of CV done with Power BI, and on the left, I use the background with a PowerPoint. And you can see all the things that I did in the PowerPoint, and in Power BI, I just imported it as a background or wallpaper, and added things on top. So for example, here, a few years before, I created this about me. So because again, I did a session about how to do a CV with Power BI. So why, for example, I use the background, the PowerPoint. It could be some other things, depending what you like to use it for, those kind of layout creations. But I use that because you can think of how many visuals I would need to use it and to create, and text boxes and so on, just to have this view in Power BI. So it will be all those icons, all this text, all these like rectangles, ovals, and so on. Everything would be one visual after another. And probably you know that it's not the best practice to make or to put as many visuals on the page, because then when the user will open this page, it will render quite slowly. Of course, depending how big is your data set and so on, but still, you can do a lot of things on the, for example, in the PowerPoint, and just then add some like things that will change then on top of it in Power BI. And yeah, talking about dark background. As I said, you need to think about contrast and legibility. So it needs to be sufficient that people can see lines, text, and everything what you put in it. Then color choices, avoid using colors that blend in with the background. So again, talking about contrast. Chart and graph design. So again, consider lighter elements to use it, that it would be clearly seen and so on. Again, this example on the left is from colors.mus.ly, that you can try to look at it, how it will look like. Can people see if I used like these colors and this background? Can they see normally all the visuals there? And then accessibility, as there were quite a few remarks about that dark background can pose challenges for some individuals. So this is why usually it's maybe just for some presentations at the conferences or something like that. But yeah, for the usual work, it's just light background. preferable. And also, I don't know if you will believe me or not, but still there are people who likes to print reports. And I heard that last year that there are some people still that do it. So be mindful about that, because then they need quite a lot of toner to print something in the black or dark background.
Yeah. And this is where we actually would love to have a different style sheet for printing and one for viewing on screen, right? So
yeah, that would be very useful.
yeah, hopefully
And
that
then
will
maybe then maybe the darker backgrounds will be more widely used. But
yeah, exactly.
that the person would have, for example, a switch.
Yes.
And they can choose. Yeah, that would be nice. Now, talking again more about visual things, so images and icons, don't be, don't be afraid of using those. Of course, don't overcrowd everything, but usually they help. For example, now we have like this new KPI visual, or some other new visuals that you can add different images or icons on top or next to it. So for example, here I showed you like revenue, customer, and here like right away person, not looking even at this written text, person can say, okay, revenue down. It means that it's not that good maybe. Then customers up. Right away, person can say something by looking very few seconds on the page and tell you something. Plus, like probably all of you who creates Power BI reports know, or some other reports, that many people understand data better visually. So this is why, for example, you can use those icons. So maybe here I used like this probably is the best example. So some people icon that talks about people. Home icon could mean that if I press this one, I will go to the home menu or something like that. The same like menu, I think it's called like hamburger, like those lines that always in all the apps or something, that if I press this icon, like those lines, that some menu will pop up and I can, for example, filter things or move from one page to another. So there are some common icons that people will use in different areas, and almost everyone knows what it means. So this is why it helps for people to tell the story. Yeah, and I forget to put everything there. But of course, as I put like the last, like icons and images can carry cultural connotations and interpretations. So you need to be mindful about that, because there are some, maybe if something can be misinterpreted, probably it's not the best thing to add it. But going to the icons, I, of course, could use like some money bags or something like that, and then you know that it's like this visual is about money. So again, very like normal thing to add it, adds some visual appeal and also more understanding about data. Yeah, now regarding report themes, probably all of you know that if you go to view and browse for themes, you can put, for example, your theme. I don't know if you usually use some like Power BI default themes, or are you creating your own? But there is an option for it if you don't know it yet. So you can import it. You can go, for example, to the theme builders as in Power BI.tips. And you can, for example, check all the things that you want to change in the theme, and it will generate you a JSON file, which you can upload through here, like in the view and then browse for themes. And then you can put the JSON file, and then all the report will be more cohesive and according to your setup. Now also, there are some GitHub repositories, as almost for everything. So you can go there too and find some themes also theme gallery in the Power BI community, and probably many others. And now I have an example. So if you never worked with it, so this is how the JSON format can look like. This is very like small example, and this is how I get and define, for example, the font. For example, Macaw have a font called Assistant, and the fonts you need to know that even, for example, there, if you go here, like in the customize current theme, there is no option for the fonts. So if you want to change a font, you need to import JSON file. Other thing that you need to know about fonts, that this needs to be installed on the computer or a virtual device or wherever, where this report is viewed. So for example, if I send this report with Assistant font, for example, to Brian, and he doesn't have this installed on his computer, he won't see this in the Assistant font. He will see in some default one. So this is like one nuance with the fonts. So yeah, so what you can put there, it's quite a lot of things. I would say go to the Power BI.tips and see what's available there. But like in general, you can define colors, fonts, and for example, even this filter page, like for example, here I added that filters on this page. If I apply any filter, it should be in the yellow background. But of course, it could be something else, depending if you want to have it like very bright here or not. Then I think it's quite important thing to tell it about inspiration, where to get from, where to get it from, because, for example, I don't know how about you, but I thought that I'm not very like I cannot create very visually appealing reports that can look like apps or very like professional, that it looks like a designer worked on it and so on. But there are some pages, like for example here you can see, and probably I will just add here, like for example Dribbble, Freepik, Adobe Stock, that you can try to find some inspiration from. Maybe not everything can be done in Power BI, but for example just general layout, where to put like some filters. Maybe here like I want to this add-on, as we talked about, light and dark colors. Of course, now we should work with bookmarks if you want to do it. It's not like default thing in Power BI, maybe someday. But yeah, that could be done also. But yeah, you can get like inspiration. Okay, so here I can add some KPIs, lines, then I can add some other visuals, and it shouldn't be like exactly the same thing. But yeah, you can get inspiration from that. So it's, at least for me, it's very nice. And this is where I got the inspiration for the CV layout and all the background that I did in the PowerPoint. And yeah, so again, you can replicate that in PowerPoint. There is like, I think Figma or something like that, some other tools that you can use there. But yeah, it's quite interesting to do it. And as I said, then you won't create for every little thing new visual, so it will render quicker. Yeah, it will be more optimized. And also, yeah, don't forget to use icons. And for example, I like the most flat icon, or if you're using PowerPoint, you can go just to insert illustrations and icons and then choose and just type, like, for example, home, people, or something like that. And it will show you some icons that you can use and upload it. Usually what I do with that, even not to create a background layer, but for example, if I need like money bag icon, so I will go to the PowerPoint, insert it as an icon, and then export it as, for example, image and use it in my report. Yeah, and then the last one probably is effective visualization, compelling narratives, and UX. And yeah, I think we are on time almost. So with visualizing data, you need to know what kind of chart types to use also to see your message, because, for example, there are a lot of people that like to use very like fancy looking visuals, but they are quite hard to understand. So usually the best thing is to use just line charts, bar charts, maybe sometimes pie charts. Yeah, wherever there are some questions about pie charts, but yeah, I think there are like two opposite sides of it, but not going into details. You should use like the most simple visuals that you can think of because they are not maybe very like fancy or interesting or something, but they are very understandable. And then a person don't need to spend like a lot of time to see, okay, so what this visual says, what I can see here. So for example, usually you don't put like box plots to common user because they don't really know what is about and what it says. And also use techniques like grouping, aggregations, filtering to present complex information. Because if, as I said already many times, if you put everything, it's not clear what can be seen from the data. So you need to maybe like just filter something and to show only one thing, and then if person is interested, they can go into deeper levels or see some other filters applied or something like that. So for example, if you know that a person is working in one company, maybe just show that company, and for the CEO show just general numbers and not everything in one place. And then if they want to go deeper into data, they can go to other pages. Yeah, and then what types to use? Like, for example, if I have one data, what kind of chart should I use? Should I use line chart, bar chart, maybe dots, or something like that? So there are a few data types. Quantitative, so numbers, for example, revenue. It could be ordinal, like ranks or like close sizes, SM, and so on, all the numbers depending on country. Then it could be some categories like electronic devices and so on. So there is one of these table, like one of the examples, what usually should be used. So for example, if I have numbers like revenue, what is best is to use position. So is it like lower, upper, and so on? Then next best thing could be length. So using some bar charts, and the third one would be slope. So line charts and so on. So like dots, bar charts, line charts. And then everything else could be a little bit complicated or maybe even doesn't make sense. So for example, if I have shapes of numbers, like what the hell means the circle or rectangle or something else? So this is why we are not using it unless like you have a line chart and you need to put attention to one specific data point, then maybe you can use it like, I don't know, rectangle or something like that, but it doesn't mean that you will put all those shapes into one visual. Yeah, so everything what should be used is in the top 3 positions. So for example, again, another, if I have like close sizes or something, again, position can help, color intensity also, or color hue. So for example, so if I define that my S will be green, then this is M, this is L, and so on. So that can work too. But from numbers, probably not that much. Yeah. And focusing on data. Here, I won't go through every detail how I went from one image to another, but you can, for example, compare which one is better understandable and quicker understandable. So usually what we suggest to do is just to have a meaningful title and add as less details as you can. So for example, remove everything what is repetitive, what is unnecessary, and just make it very clear. And also there is a storytelling aspect. So Your data should tell a story, maybe not. Again, depending on your user, what is interesting for them, what they want to see. Because if you have analytic user, then they need all the data you can give them because like few visuals won't cut it. So, but if you have like a person that is not into data that much, maybe then a story can help. So some annotations or something like that. And this is where comes the second point, that additional information. So don't forget to add a context, to add some text in it. And of course, there are some techniques like callouts and other things. And talking about callouts, I have an example here from, I think this is from GuiaNetCube or something similar. I think they did a video about it, how to create that one. So this also can be useful that, for example, a person presses a button and it gives like these callouts, like this means this means this, and so on. So again, it helps to guide the person. Yeah, and then interaction and user experience. Here, I think all the things could maybe repeat itself, but I would like to touch about test and feedback point the most, because I think you should ask for the feedback not at the end of the report creation, but you should ask it right away, like, okay, did I understand you correctly what you wanted? Because a lot of times user doesn't even know what they want from the data. They start to interact with it and, oh, maybe I want this, maybe that, and so on. So it's just easier to change things when you are in the progress, but not at the end. Yeah, and since we are on time, not on time, but we should finish, so I just quickly run through the design pitfalls, so avoiding them. So again, avoid overcrowding, putting everything on one page, maintain consistent styles, so one color should mean one thing everywhere in the report, for example, and then avoid overusing effects, so as simple visuals as possible, and proper formatting and alignment. That helps quite a lot. So yeah, since I think I already wrapped up, so the last thing would be practice. Try to do it. Try to find an inspiration and look for everything. And this is where I put it, yeah, all the links. And where is it? Maybe I didn't edit that. Yeah, sorry. So I will add that QR code later because, yeah, I don't have it. But I will send them, Brian, to you. I thought that I have it already, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If you just send them to me, I will put the links both in the YouTube video and on the LinkedIn post. So sure.
Yeah, great.
Thank you. And I don't see any questions, but I do see appreciations of this session to you, Odeta. And I would also like to say thank you. At least you learned me a couple of things here also. So thank you, Odeta.
Good to hear.
Thank you to everyone involved. And if you have any questions here on the last seconds, write them in the chat, or if you don't, hopefully we will see each other next week. And Odeta, we will see each other, I don't know, somewhere in the world during this year, somewhere.
Probably. Yeah, thanks a lot for listening.
There's actually a question now.
Do I recommend some tutorials? For tutorials, I didn't find a lot. I know a few people who are about visuals, but not a lot about design things. So it depends what exactly you want. So if you can message me via LinkedIn, I can put you a few YouTube video links where I think could be useful for you, but depending what exactly you want to get.
Okay. Yeah. And there's also one from Yeho here. For what product presentation background is better to use?
Product presentation?
I think this is very...
for product presentation, which background?
I think it is a presentation or a PowerPoint where you get product images, perhaps.
So you mean, is it dark? Yeah, dark one or light one. Usually, yeah, it depends. I would say if it's like product images or something. So again, you need to think about colors that it wouldn't clash together. So for example, if you have something that is not like this violety or how you call it background, and you put something that is very clashing with images, it wouldn't look good. So yeah, then I would add maybe light background, usually like everything with white goes. So yeah, it's just a safe bet. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can, Wojciech, then please reach out to Odetta to get the links for the YouTube channels, and or else reach out to me and I'll get you connected with Odetta in some way.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for attending, and we are a bit over time. That's quite fine. Normally we also allow 15 minutes overtime, so so this is exactly fine. Thank you, Odetta. Thank you for your time, and thank you for presenting. I loved it, and I saw that we were counting 35 attendees at the max. So thank you very much.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Sure, always. And to everyone, have a great evening and a great night, and I'll see you there. Bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.